Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Konoha. I, Uchiha, Lie Flat. Chapter 11. Uchiha Jin and Shisui looked at each other, and both saw surprise in each other's eyes. But, since it was Hokage's order, the two of them naturally did not dare to hesitate and hurried towards the Hokage building. All the way, Shisui's face was calm, but Uchiha Jin's eyes were slightly twinkling. Yes, he probably already knew what was going on. If his prediction was correct, what happened yesterday should have been discovered. Thinking of this, he felt heavy. Although he never thought that this matter could be completely concealed, the village's reaction speed exceeded his expectations. Too fast. What happened just last night was not only discovered today, but also investigated on myself. You know, at the Death Forest scene, he also threw a Cloud Shinobi ninja corpse. But, it doesn't matter. He believed in his ability to deal with the beginning and the end, and was confident that there were no traces pointing to him at the scene. 10 minutes later, the two went directly to the Hokage building and pushed open the Hokage's office. Uchiha Jin, his eyes narrowed slightly. However, after seeing the crowd in the office, he couldn't help but exclaimed. Konoha F4 headed by Sarutobi Hiruzen were present, in addition to Uchiha Fugaku, Jonin Squad Leader Nara Shikaku, Analysis Squad Leader Yamanaka Haichi, Captain Anbu, etc. Unsurprisingly, Captain Anbu is Sarutobi Shinosuke, right? After all, Anbu is such an important department that Sarutobi Hiruzen is reluctant to give it to others. Sarutobi Hiruzen sat behind the office and looked at the two young men in front of him, with a look of contemplation in his eyes. After a while, he looked at Uchiha Jin, smiled and asked. Uchiha Jin, right, according to Anbu's investigation, it seems that you had some contact with the three Uchiha righteous men yesterday. Now these three people are nowhere to be found, and you are the last person to have contact with them. I need you to tell me everything you know. This matter is very important. Sarutobi Hiruzen, soft-spoken. He didn't mention what happened, but simply asked. Not talking about death, just missing. This is also normal. After all, for such an important matter, Uchiha Jin's level is too low. It is not completely confirmed that he is involved in this matter, otherwise the specific situation will definitely not be told to him. Shisui frowned when he saw this. As a genius, he often deals with high-level officials, so he knows that such a big battle cannot be just because of the disappearance of a few Uchiha. It was precisely because of this that he became more and more worried. He was really afraid of what Uchiha Jin might have to do with this. And, on the other side, even Uchiha Jin, who understood his nature, felt a little dazed for a while, but he soon came back to his senses. He didn't hesitate. Immediately he bowed slightly and began to speak slowly. After lunch yesterday, I was blocked by three Uchiha righteous men after lunch. They want to hit me. I was no match for them, and then I started running away in a panic, and finally hid on the edge of the Death Forest. I don't know what happens after that. In the end, when it was almost night, I still didn't see Uchiha Yoshio chasing me. I thought they had given up chasing me, so I went straight home to sleep. Uchiha Jin, come and talk. After he finished speaking, he bowed his head and said no more words. Yes. Having lived in Konoha for so many years, he has long been familiar with Konoha's tricks. Even though Sarutobi Hiruzen has a benevolent attitude in the village, in actual formal occasions, he pays great attention to the rules of superiors and subordinates. About this, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not answer. Instead, after a moment of silence, he couldn't help but take a deep breath, and then spoke in a calm tone. Okay, I get it. Uchiha Jin, you can go back. After hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, he already knew in his heart that the matter here had nothing to do with him. Obviously, he was not qualified to participate in the subsequent deliberations. After bowing slightly, Uchiha turned around and left. After he left the office, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Anbu beside him. Shinosuke, tell me. Sarutobi Hiruzen's subordinate, Sarutobi Shinosuke, who is Captain Anbu, did ninja's bodies have all been damaged? Even if Yamanaka Jonin from the analysis class takes action himself, he saw the body of the Cloud Shinobi ninja last night. He was sure that he was the Cloud Shinobi ninja who disappeared 2 years ago and we couldn't find it no matter what. So, here's the problem. Is this another attack by Cloud Shinobi? Or are we in Saiha Jin was called for questioning. After all, Uchiha Jin has a grudge against these three Uchiha. For a moment, as Shinosuke spoke, everyone fell into silence. Everyone is thinking. After a long time, Sarutobi Hiruzen put down his cigarette bag and spoke in a faint tone. Alright, that's the way it is, let's discuss it. Let's discuss it first. Is there any possibility that Uchiha Jin is involved in this matter? Upon hearing this, Shisui couldn't bear it. Lord Hokage, it's absolutely impossible. Shisui said quickly. Jin is an Uchiha, how could he kill his own people? They have grudges against each other. There are many such things in the Uchiha clan. It is impossible for them to develop to the point of murder. Jin is just a recent graduate, and he doesn't have this ability. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen remained silent about this. He didn't nod or shake his head. Time passes slowly. After a long time, Uchiha Fugaku spoke. Shisui is right, Uchiha Jin doesn't have this ability. One word, decisive. In his opinion, Uchiha Jin is just an ordinary tribesman. Even, it can be called useless. How could he have the ability to kill three elites of his own race? Yamanaka Hai hesitated for a moment, but still spoke. I have to remind everyone about the circumstances of the death of the three Uchiha people. They were killed in an instant, and they didn't resist at all from the beginning to the end. The murderer's body flicker technique was extremely powerful, and he even broke the hearts of three Uchiha with one punch. This is a physical arts master who is good at the body flicker technique. Hiss. Hearing these words, everyone was shocked again. Yes, although they all knew about this, they did not know the specific situation. Therefore, on Cloud Shinobi's side, ninjas are very strong in taijutsu. Come on, it's about Cloud Shinobi again. Udatane Kaharu heard this and couldn't help but said, Cloud Shinobi and Konoha have started to fight. Do they have a reason to resort to such tactics? The key to the question is, if it is really Cloud Shinobi's doing. Mitokado Homura said, then what is their real purpose in doing this? Or more accurately, what benefits do they gain? As the two elders spoke, the atmosphere in the room became solemn again. Yes, after everyone talked like this, the possibility of Uchiha Jin taking action had been completely forgotten by everyone. An Uchiha waste, not worth wasting your time. He doesn't have that ability either. The struggle for power in the ninja world is at its most basic stage. Even Sarutobi Hiruzen, who has the strongest ability to fight for power, was actually at the level of an elementary school student in Uchiha Jin's previous life. So, even if they try hard, they can't understand Uchiha Jin's brain circuit. On the contrary, Shisui, listening to everyone's discussion, he breathed a sigh of relief. Fine, no matter what can be discussed in the end, at least Uchiha Jin is safe. At this moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke. Shikaku, tell me. Actually, I've been thinking about it. Are we complicating the problem? Perhaps this matter is simple in itself. How about this? I'll start from the beginning, and everyone should think about whether my guess is reasonable. 2 years ago, a team of Cloud Shinobi came to Konoha to capture the blood sequence, but with everyone either dying or being captured, one of the Cloud Shinobi ninjas ended up getting scared. So, he escaped. Then some time ago, Cloud Shinobi captured this ninja again. Now Cloud Shinobi and Konoha are at war, so it just so happens that in the spirit of recycling, Cloud Shinobi came up with this. As for the purpose, it's very simple. That will cause our Konoha to completely fall into civil strife. After all, at this time, Cloud Shinobi has no reason to take action. But actually, it's more of a departure from Cloud Shinobi. Making Konoha families suspicious of each other, choosing Uchiha as a clever move. Everyone knows Uchiha's temper. Under normal circumstances, there will definitely be huge disputes within the Uchiha clan because of this matter. The moderates in Uchiha are okay, but the radicals will not give up. Especially since Uchiha also controls the security force, if this matter is pursued, it will definitely cause chaos in Konoha. By then, Konoha will definitely be in chaos. Not even talking about Konoha, there may be chaos within Uchiha itself. Everyone can try to think about it. Now we, Konoha, are surrounded by war. If civil strife broke out under this situation, what would it be like? There are masters in Cloud Shinobi. Hiss. After hearing Nara Shikaku's guess, everyone was shocked. But, after everyone thought about it carefully, it seemed that this was really the case. At this juncture, the enemy must hope for civil strife in Konoha. In this case, then other ninja villages can directly destroy Konoha, the strongest ninja village, without any effort at all. How could they really resist such a huge temptation? Like subconsciously, everyone accepted this reason. Right, that is it. Cloud Shinobi has such a dark heart and is so shameless. We must not be fooled. Especially at this juncture, we must be united. Quote. Everyone present spoke one after another. Their heads were dripping with cold sweat, and they were all frightened by this guess. Especially Uchiha. After Fugaku heard this, he immediately issued a military order. Lord Hokage, and everyone else. I, Fugaku, am here to promise that nothing will happen to the Uchiha clan. I swear on the honor of my ancestors, if anyone dares to cause trouble during the war, I, Uchiha Fugaku, will be the first to refuse. He was covered in cold sweat. If it was really because of Uchiha, it would lead to the failure of the 3 battles. This pot is too heavy for him to carry. So without any nonsense, he immediately started swearing. Actually, don't talk about others. Even 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen is now scared to death. Boy, that's scary. I almost got fooled. You can imagine. If you really investigate this matter in depth, there will really be a big problem. You must know that Konoha today is really surrounded by enemies on all sides. Cloud Shinobi, Rock Shinobi, Sunagaker, Mist Shinobi. 4 ninja villages declared war on Konoha, and Konoha was in urgent need of ninjas. Now even 5th grade students are now forced to go to the battlefield. If an internal fight breaks out because of this matter, it will be really fun. No matter what the truth is, this matter cannot be investigated further. The most important thing now is to stabilize the hearts of Konoha. Considering this, he immediately stood up and spoke. This matter ends here. This is Cloud Shinobi's conspiracy to try to cause civil strife in Konoha. Fortunately, Jonin squad leader Nara Shikaku was resourceful and directly exposed Cloud Shinobi's conspiracy. Tell this to the ninja world. I want the entire ninja world to know the viciousness of villains like Cloud Shinobi. And I solemnly warn everyone that if you try to use this kind of viciousness against Konoha, it is absolutely impossible to succeed. Don't say you didn't predict what you said. Sarutobi Hiruzen, quite smart. He knew very well that the truth of the matter was not important now. Just like Nara Shikaku said, the most important thing now is to stabilize people's hearts. To know, we are still in the middle of the war, so how can we bother to investigate any cases? Again, it was just Uchiha who died. The village itself has various precautions against Uchiha, and it would be a good thing to die more. Even if he doesn't die in the village, sooner or later he will find a way to let Uchiha die in the war. Uchiha must be restrained and not allowed to become too powerful. In this case, death is just death. Therefore, considering this, Sarutobi Hiruzen made the decision on the spot, which can be regarded as finalizing the matter. It can also be used to discredit Cloud Shinobi, thereby boosting the morale of Konoha. This is a good thing. So without any hesitation, he gave the order directly. Nara Shikaku lived up to expectations and immediately spread the news throughout the ninja world. Of course, as this incident unfolded, Cloud Shinobi's reputation plummeted. No way. There are pictures and the truth, there is no reason not to believe it. Especially the 3 Uchiha's dead bodies seemed to show no resistance at all. Cloud Shinobi was the only one in the entire ninja world who had this level of taijutsu master before Might Dai took action. Cloud Shinobi Village. I am paralyzed by 10,000 words, but I don't know whether to say them or not. They all wanted to cry because they were being blamed. It is rumored that after 3rd generation I learned about this, he quickly issued a declaration to the ninja world, saying that this was all Konoha's slander. He, 3rd generation I, was an upright person and did not bother to do such a thing. But, it's a pity. Konoha quickly took out the various evidences left behind by the Cloud Shinobi ninja team who went to Konoha to steal blood and was caught in the realm 2 years ago. This time, Konoha only threw out evidence but didn't say a word. Silence is better than sound. 3rd generation I. He was speechless. Finally, he became so angry that he smashed everything in the office. Paralyzed, He is really angry. If he really did it, then he would have to admit it as a failure. But the problem is, he could swear to God that this was really not the case. He is also a victim. But it's useless. In today's ninja world, no one believes in him. Even Iwagakure, who was in the Secret Alliance, felt that Cloud Shinobi's character was too poor. He was even more careful every time he negotiated with Cloud Shinobi. The distrust in his eyes made third generation I crazy. This blame is too big, he really can't carry it. He silently swore in his heart that he would never let him know who the real murderer was. Otherwise, even if the third war stops, he still has to kill this person. Simply, so disgusting. Of course, unlike Cloud Shinobi, Konoha's morale has been high recently because of this incident. Especially when fighting Cloud Shinobi, he screamed and rushed up. Obviously, Cloud Shinobi's behavior disgusted them, and at this moment they all wanted revenge. On the other side, Konoha, Uchiha tribe land. As the person involved, Uchiha Jin didn't know how big a storm his actions would cause. At this time, he was sitting in the living room, receiving Shisui, a guest. Can you tell me, in the end what happened? Isn't today's battle a bit too big? Of course if it's a secret, then there's no need to tell me. Uchiha Jin couldn't help but speak. Looking at Shisui in front of him, he couldn't help but ask. Shisui smiled and shook his head. Don't worry, we've figured it out. Actually, there is nothing to say. Uchiha Yoshio and the three of them died last night. And this matter has been investigated clearly. This matter is Cloud Shinobi's conspiracy from beginning to end. The purpose is to cause civil strife in Konoha. What a wolfish ambition. We also need the Nara clan in Konoha to be full of wisdom. Now the contemporary Nara team leader and Jonin squad leader Nara Shikaku has analyzed it and has completely solved the conspiracy from Cloud Shinobi. And now this matter has been reported to the entire ninja world. We want everyone in the ninja world to know how dirty Cloud Shinobi village is. Uchiha Jin. He looked confused. What is this all about? Cloud Shinobi's conspiracy. How come he, the client, doesn't know anything about it? Although he really wanted to pass the blame to Cloud Shinobi, he didn't think too much about it at all and was just a backup to hide himself. Actually, how big an effect it can have, he himself doesn't know. I just think that if I can avoid being traced, everything will be fine. Seeing Shisui with an angry face in front of him, wanting to go to the front line and mention killing people, Uchiha didn't know what to say for a moment. Isn't this kid too honest? But he still vaguely felt that something was wrong. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but frown. Shisui, don't be so angry. Can you explain it to me in detail? After all, this matter also involves me. I want to know more about it in detail. Chief Nara, what did you say? Uchiha Jin, his tone was serious. Yes, he did not dare to underestimate the leader of the Nara clan, the Jonin squad leader of this term. This person is famous for his high IQ in the entire ninja world. He is not a brat like Shisui who just believes whatever others say. So, he needs to know more details to make a more accurate judgment. Shisui didn't hide this at all. Immediately, he said everything that had just happened, especially Nara Shikaku's judgment, word for word. After Uchiha Jin heard it, he just thought about it for a moment and understood everything. He is now very convinced that Nara Shikaku is deceiving people. Yes, don't look at the story he made up. It has causes, processes, and psychological thinking. But the problem is, what is Cloud Shinobi village like? From third generation I to the ninjas below, they are all a group of guys who believe in fists and even have muscles in their brains. Do they have this intelligence? What international joke are you making here? Looking at the establishment of Cloud Shinobi Village till now, when has Cloud Shinobi Village ever tried its best? No matter what happens to people, they basically rely on the word, reckless. Cloud Shinobi has a little bit of brain and can judge and analyze the battle situation. Mabuyi is the only one in the whole drama. Only, this woman is 4th generation I's secretary. Now is the era of 3rd generation I. Mabuyi is just a child now, about the same age as herself. Can she help Cloud Shinobi with advice? Isn't this nonsense? So, here comes the question. Something that he can easily think of. Nara Shikaku is the brain of Konoha and is known as the top strategist in the Hokage. He really can't even think of such a simple thing. Absolutely impossible. Even though this world is too strong in terms of power, it is very difficult to fight for power. But as for Cloud Shinobi's situation, as long as there is nothing wrong with the brain, you can basically guess the situation. Especially the Nara family, but the Hokage's IQ ceiling. Can't even think of this. What about the liar? Uchiha-jin frowned. He noticed something was wrong almost instantly. Nara Shikaku couldn't be that stupid, so why did he do this time? Simply because it was Uchiha who died, so he didn't want to waste time investigating the case. Or is it because of the war and you don't want Konoha to be in civil strife because of this? He was lost in thought. Of course, these are not important. What he cares about is whether Nara Shikaku has targeted him. But forget it. Regardless of whether Nara Shikaku noticed it or not, since he didn't speak now, there was no need to think too much. What he lacks most now is time. As long as you continue to develop and become a cage-level master, it doesn't matter even if the matter is exposed. In this ninja world, the strong are respected. After thinking about this, he smiled and spoke. So, that's it. This is indeed a good thing for me. Once Uchiha Yoshio and the others die, I will be able to breathe a sigh of relief from now on. And, on the other side, looking at Uchiha-jin who was sighing with emotion, Shisui looked confused. No way, he is kind-hearted and cannot accept Uchiha-jin's idea. Only, he also understood that Uchiha-jin had been humiliated by Uchiha Yoshio and others in the past few years, so no matter how unhappy he was about it, he could only remain silent. Shaking his head bitterly, he took a deep breath. Okay, let's not talk about this. I brought you everything you wanted. Take a look first, do you like it? Shisui didn't want to discuss that topic, so of course he took out 3 scrolls. When Uchiha-jin saw this, his eyes flashed with gold. First, I explored the first scroll, which contained 3,000 detonating charms, 500 steel kunai, and 200 shurikens. This made the corner of his mouth twitch, and he kept feeling emotional in his heart. Uchiha, what a big dog. A detonating talisman costs 1,000 taels, which is 2 million taels. Including kunai and shuriken, the value of this scroll alone is nearly 5 million taels. No wonder. In the original drama, the Uchiha clan was wiped out and the entire family was taken back by the village. Sasuke didn't bother to care about this at all. Thinking about it, even if a large amount of Uchiha's money was recovered, only the bits and pieces left would be enough for Sasuke to squander throughout his life. In addition, that guy just wants revenge and may not have any concept of money. When I first crossed over, I saw the 900,000 taels left by my parents and thought it was barely a huge sum of money. Now it seems that I am too young. The only things the clan used to compensate him were worth almost 5 million taels. Based on such a comprehensive comparison, my parents are poor. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but speak. Shisui, is this too much? Did you use your own money to subsidize me? Shisui smiled sarcastically when he heard this. He shook his head with a smile and shrugged. You think too much, this is the compensation given to you by the clan. It's only worth 5 million taels. Is this really a lot? If I do any B-level mission, the starting price is 600,000 taels. If it's an A-level mission, the starting price is 2 million taels. This scroll is nothing more than the harvest of a few missions, both to the clan and to me. The real value is the other 2 scrolls. The second scroll contains an early saber belonging to one of my grandfather's uncles. In terms of value alone, it is worth at least 500 million taels. After all, it contains a large amount of chakra metal and a small amount of TNY, siderite. As for the swordsmanship included in it, it is also passed down from the Uchiha family. It is no weaker than Hitaki's swordsmanship. It's just that there are few swordsman masters in our clan. And the most valuable one is the third scroll. Izanagi and Izanami, this is a secret that is not passed down within the clan. That is the real priceless treasure. Hiss. After hearing these words, Uchiha-jin took a breath of air. Good guy. Really worthy of being a wealthy family the year before last. No wonder the Hokage series has been trying to kill Uchiha since second Hokage Senju Tobirama. You are so rich, not to mention the massive wealth accumulated by the clan in the past year, just the things Shisui casually threw to him would make countless commoners jealous if placed outside. Even second-class families such as the Inoshika-cho clan, Sarutobi, and Shimura would probably not be able to match the things in front of them unless they were truly elite families. As for third-class families like Aburame and Inuzuka, that's not to mention. As for Hitaki, that's even more nonsense. Hitaki Tsukumo became famous purely for his sword skills. As for Uchiha, he easily showed his sword skills that are not inferior to Hitaki's. This is the foundation. I guess in all of Konoha, only Hyuga has the qualifications to challenge Uchiha. Why? Thinking of this, he sighed helplessly. Uchiha, there is a right way to take death. He was obviously guarding such a huge wealth, but he didn't have the strength or the willpower to protect it. If you don't die, who will? And once Uchiha dies, Konoha will become rich. When a whale falls, all things come to life. While he was thinking about it, Shisui couldn't help but smile. Would you like to go to the practice range? It just so happens that I still have some time today, so I'll just give you some guidance. Tomorrow, Shisui, looking worried, he knew very well that Uchiha Jin was not a genius. It is impossible for an ordinary ninja like him to be assigned a Jonin as a guide, and it would be a Chunin who has been on the battlefield to survive. What's even more helpless is that a basic team like this has no time to cooperate and train together. Basically, as soon as the teams are assigned every day, they will go directly to the battlefield. He is really worried, so while he had time, he wanted to provide some guidance. It's not that he is bragging. Although he is a Chunin for the time being, Jonin is really no match for him in general. Although he is kind and naive, he also knows how to distance people from each other. For Uchiha Jin, a childhood friend, his parents still died because of his grandfather, and he really regarded him as his biological brother. What's wrong with turning on a small stove? Isn't that what everyone does? Otherwise, do you really think that an ordinary Uchiha can get so much compensation? To put it bluntly, Fugaku, the clan leader, just gave him face to Shisui. As for Tachi, sword skills, and Sharingan secret skills. Even more, Shisui dug into his own little coffers. But, about this, when Uchiha heard this, he immediately shook his head. Forget it. Tomorrow we will assign teams and then go to the battlefield to fight. Now I just want to have a good rest and try to be as energetic as possible. If you're too tired today, how can you feel better tomorrow? Shisui, forget it. I know you mean well and it's for my own good. But my talent is here, and a day of practice can't change anything. What I have to do now is to recharge my batteries. Shisui, very helpless, looking at Uchiha Jin who looked lazy, he really didn't know what to say. He felt that with a personality like Jin's, it was better to be a commoner. But, there is no way. He cannot become a commoner if he can extract chakra. And after thinking about it carefully, he felt that what Uchiha Jin said didn't seem to be a problem. He is not a genius. Even if he practices temporarily and provides personal guidance, the effect will not be great. If you have this time, you might as well recharge your batteries. Okay, you have a good rest today and be careful when you go to the battlefield. By the way, I'll teach you a ninjutsu. Shisui thought about it and chose to give up. However, he was worried. So he taught Uchiha Jin the summoning technique and summoned a crow directly before speaking with a smile. This is the ninja crow I trained. You sign a contract with it. His role is no weaker than that of the ninja cats. After this war is over, I will try my best to convince the Fugaku clan leader to let you sign a contract with the ninja clan. If you really encounter a life or death situation, don't hesitate and ask the ninja crow to notify me directly. I will save you as soon as possible. Uchiha Jin, the corners of his mouth twitched. Facing Shisui in front of him, he really didn't know what to say. He could naturally see that Shisui had no selfish intentions towards him, and simply wanted to do his own good. This only made him feel more uncomfortable. Because, there is no need. He was confident that as long as he did not encounter cage-level experts or the Jinchuriki, the tailed beasts of each village, he would be absolutely safe. But he also knew in his heart that if he didn't accept it, Shisui would never give up. So, forget it. After sighing helplessly, he learned the summoning technique and signed a contract with Ninja Crow. Shisui smiled slightly when he saw this scene. Immediately. After the two chatted for a while, Shisui said goodbye. No way. Unlike him, who is an idler, Shisui, as a genius, has many things to do every day. Even though he is on vacation now, Fugaku needs him to deal with the radicals. Sarutobi Hiruzen occasionally comes to see him, and occasionally takes the baby Uchiha Itachi to play. Why, I will cry if I continue. It is better for me to be an idle person, so that one person can have enough food and the whole family will not be hungry. As for those nonsense things, he had no intention of wasting energy on them. It's just that bondage is really frustrating sometimes. In the past, he was just a person. Whether he rebelled or stayed in hiding, it didn't matter. Later, with hands beating father and daughter. Now there's another Shisui. It's really, he really couldn't imagine that if he continued, would there be more constraints on him. Thinking of this, he understood Orochimaru. No wonder he didn't protest at all when the village noticed that he was conducting human experiments, and he didn't even bother to drag Danzo into the water. I think he was disappointed that Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't choose him as the fourth Hokage. But, more, he who has fully understood the meaning of life and is trying to pursue immortality must take the initiative to cut off these bonds to Konoha. In front of the main house, on the steps, looking at Shisui's back gradually moving away, and then looking at the ninja crow next to him, Uchiha Jin suddenly had a severe headache. Well, it doesn't matter. It's just Shisui. It's not too difficult to save him. It's only been 3 battles now. The Nine Tails Rebellion is still early, and the night of genocide is far away. Don't be in a hurry, take your time. Uchiha Jin rubbed his eyebrows and kept trying to convince himself. Yes, he is not a heartless person. On the contrary, the memory of his previous life and the influence of 5,000 years of civilization have taught him what it means to repay kindness with drops of water and repayment with springs. The same goes for beating father and daughter by hand, and the same goes for Shisui. He can ignore the death of others, and he will not offend others unless they offend him. The life and death of other people has nothing to do with you. Everyone sweeps the snow in front of their own door, not caring about the frost on other people's tiles. Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to destroy Uchiha, but Uchiha seemed indifferent. It's just that Shisui can't do it. After thinking about all this, his eyes flashed coldly. The next day, early morning. Konoha Shinobi School, 5th grade classroom. The whole place was very noisy, and most people were fantasizing about excitement, as if they were eager to go to the battlefield immediately. Only the people from the major families looked sleepy, as if they hadn't woken up. Uchiha Jin, looking at the scene in front of him, he couldn't help but yawn. With a lazy look on his face, he sat in his seat, leaning on the chair, staring out the window in a daze. He didn't want to participate in the commotion in the classroom at all. He has few friends in this class. A loner, quiet and handsome. Because he is Uchiha, no one takes the initiative to make friends with him. After all, Uchiha's reputation has long been notorious in Konoha. Certainly, no one came to mess with him. The reason is very simple. The real family elites and civilian geniuses are basically all in Class A, and Class B where he is all ordinary ninjas. People from his family stayed away from him. As for those who were born commoners, although they hated Uchiha, they did not dare to really provoke him. After all, although Uchiha has a bad reputation, he is also the undisputed #1 wealthy family in Konoha. They are not geniuses and have no one to back them up. Uchiha Jin has not provoked them. As long as they are not stupid, they will not come to him to seek a sense of presence. That's why he was able to spend 5 years leisurely in school. On the other hand, because he is Uchiha, he is naturally handsome in appearance. Therefore, there are also many female classmates trying to pursue him. But, it's a pity. Uchiha Jin is just a dog, not a real waste. So for these female classmates, even if they are really beautiful, he doesn't like them at all. The reason is also very simple. They are not so-called civilians. Since they came to this school, they have automatically become ninjas. After today, they will all go to the battlefield. As for ordinary ninjas like them, the probability of survival is less than 1%. He didn't want to just get a girlfriend today and die on the battlefield in a few days. So, forget it. Anyway, he is still young now. After a few years and he becomes a truly strong man, will he still worry about not being able to find a girlfriend? Time passes slowly. About half an hour later, Sarutobi Nobita walked into the classroom. Because he knew that the people sitting here were a group of cannon fodder who were about to go to the battlefield, he naturally didn't bother to talk about feelings and make friends with everyone. So without any nonsense, he spoke immediately. Okay, let's all go back to our places. Now I'm going to announce the team allocation. Everyone should listen carefully, okay? I will only say it once. First team: Furuzawa Shinui, Ishizuka Yuta, Miyata Shiho. The second team: Abe Kue Ling, Guan Yuan Junming, and Kawara Shiliang. Team 3. There was silence in the classroom. Everyone looked serious and listened to Sarutobi Nobita's arrangements. Uchiha Jin, same thing. He was also very curious about who would become his teammates. Soon, his name was called. Team 7. Nara Kazama, Ishikawa Itsuki, Uchiha Jin. Hear this. Uchiha Jin, his eyes narrowed slightly. His eyes immediately swept around the classroom, and then he saw the two future teammates. First, Nara Kazama. The Nara clan is a very traditional family. They are very lazy on weekdays, and other things cannot be seen for the time being. Of course it's not the main line, and the strength is very poor, otherwise I wouldn't be able to come to Class B. It's just, Nara. He couldn't help but frown when he thought of this family. Because of Uchiha Yoshio's incident, he felt that something was wrong with Nara Shikaku. Now when I was divided into classes, I met Nara again. Is this really a coincidence? Or was it intentional? What do the Nara clan want to do? His brain was running rapidly, but due to the lack of information, he couldn't think of anything for the time being. Secondly, the Ishikawa tree. This is just a civilian ninja, nothing else. According to Uchiha Jin's understanding, this guy only knows the basic three-body technique, and then he has practiced a little bit of taijutsu. Of course, he can't know 8 inner gates and the like, and he doesn't have any specialized physical skills inheritance. To put it bluntly, it's all about exercising on your own. It's just that he has bigger muscles and has been in more fights. The others are gone. On the contrary, this guy has a bad temper. He ranks 3rd in the class based on his grades, and he looks down on others. My teammates this time are going to be difficult. A Nara who doesn't know the details, and a civilian ninja who is full of muscles. But forget it. Let's take a step and see. If you really don't know what's interesting, then I can only force it and let you sacrifice. Probably, half an hour later. After Nobita Sarutobi read the list, no one said any nonsense and just left the teacher. Then 9 Chunin came and called out teams 1 to 9. Obviously, starting from the 10th team, they are the real cannon fodder. They had no leader or guidance, so they relied on the basic three-body technique. They had to go to the battlefield to fight for their lives while holding a kunai. If you're lucky enough to survive, you might be able to use your merits to get some bad street ninjutsu in the village. If you are unlucky, it will be a name on the memorial tablet. As for the first 9 teams, although Chunin was arranged to lead the team, it was actually just for comfort. Chunin and Genin, there is no difference. A Chunin during a war is a Genin who survived a war. Perhaps the so-called guidance they assigned would probably not know as much ninjutsu as ordinary children from wealthy families. This is also true. A small forest. After the Chunin guide of the 3 of them brought them here, he turned around and spoke calmly. My name is Kudo Nobu. In addition to the three-body technique, I also know AC level ninjutsu Doryubi. In the team, I am mainly responsible for defense. It's your turn. As he spoke, Uchiha Jin's eyes lit up. This is really an unexpected surprise. The Chunin in front of me actually knows an earth style. Don't underestimate this ninjutsu. This is the difference between cannon fodder ninjas and ordinary ninjas. Judging from his last name, the other person is just an ordinary ninja. But being qualified to obtain ninjutsu, and it is also AC level ninjutsu, proves that the opponent not only survived a war, but also made considerable achievements. Otherwise, the village would never be able to grant this kind of C-level ninjutsu. You must know that in Shao Ninja Village, ninjas with C-level ninjutsu are already qualified to become middle-level leaders. If you have B-level ninjutsu, you are the core leader. Regardless of what is shown in the original work of Hokage, B-level ninjutsu is not as good as a dog, A-level ninjutsu is very average, and only S-level ninjutsu is adequate. It seems that someone with Mangekyo, Sage Body, and Rinnegan is considered a master. A real strong person must be like Senju Hashirama, Uchiha Madara and the like. That's nonsense. Looking at the current ninja world, Shisui with 3 Magatama has gained the reputation of Shisui in an instant. With just one A-level lightning style, Chidori, Hatake Kakashi became an elite Jonin. Even Nohara Rin and Uchiha Obito, who didn't turn black, are now Konoha elite Chunin. Are they both very strong? Nohara Rin only knows 3-body technique, and a little basic medical ninjutsu. What about Uchiha Obito? A guy who is considered a disgrace to the Uchiha clan. Sharingan can't even use a Magatama, he can barely use the 3-body technique, and he also knows 1 or 2 family fire style ninjutsu. But, what then? Even so, those who entered were still in Class A, considered the most elite group in Konoha, and now they have become Namikaze Minato's disciples. This is still the strongest Konoha in the ninja world. What about the other great ninja villages? What about Shao Ninja Village? Not to mention that, this is enough to show that the Kudoshin in front of him is indeed qualified to be proud. My name is Ishikawa Shu. I know 3-body technique in taijutsu. Ishikawa Shu said proudly. I am the top 3 in the class, and I can be considered the best ninja. I believe that as long as you give me time, I will become the strongest ninja. I hope to be the captain of our team. He looked proud. As a civilian, he doesn't understand this world at all. Especially when he became the top 3 in the class, he had an indescribable arrogance. But he didn't know that he was the so-called top 3. It's something that the family ninjas don't even bother to compete for. After all, Class B is just a cannon fodder class, and it doesn't have as many geniuses as Class A. Is there any need to compete for the top spot? Even if you get this term, you will be laughed at when you return to the clan. Otherwise, would he still be in the top 3? Although Uchiha Jin was disdainful of this, he still smiled and spoke. My name is Uchiha Jin. In addition to the 3-body technique, I also know a little about the family fire style. Captain or whatever, I have no objection. Nara Kazama yawned. After seeing everyone speaking, he also spoke casually. My name is Nara Kazama. I know the 3-body technique and a little bit of family ninjutsu. I don't have any objections to the captain or anything. After hearing the introductions of the 3 people, Kudonobu was really a little shocked. He really didn't expect that there were 2 family ninjas in his team. He is not Ishikawa Shu. He has really left school and now understands the specific gap between family ninjas and civilian ninjas. But, after hearing that neither of them was interested in the captain, they were just a little surprised and didn't bother to pay attention to it. On the contrary, he looked disdainful towards Ishikawa Shu. He was so arrogant, but he was still a civilian ninja. This was the kind of person who died the most on the battlefield. But, it has nothing to do with him. As if he had made up his mind, he decided to get a little closer to Uchiha Jin and Nara Kazama in the future. As for Ishikawa Tree, in his eyes, this guy is already dead. After taking a deep breath, he spoke slowly. Okay, then it's settled. From now on, if I am no longer in the team, Ishikawa Shu will be the captain. We will gather at the village gate at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. We will officially head to the Mist Shinobi battlefield. You all go back and get ready. Quote. The next day, early morning. The genius had just dawned, and many ninjas had already gathered at the gate of Konoha. The eyes of most people were full of longing, and they looked like young cannon fodder who had just graduated. Only some ninjas who had actually been on the battlefield or came from their families had more or less tense expressions. Time passes slowly. Kudonobu, Uchiha Jin and 3 others came to the leader Jonin Miyamoto Yukie. Miyamoto-sama, the 7th team of Class B, I have met you. Well, go down and wait. Miyamoto Yukie nodded. With a simple nod, Kudoshin and others were asked to retreat. When the group of people came to the corner, Kudonobukai spoke in a solemn tone. Now, let me give you a brief introduction. Now Mist Shinobi and we in Konoha have not actually declared war. Manpower cannot be mobilized from other battlefields for the time being, so we need to temporarily go to the front line to garrison at the former site of the Kingdom of Whirlpool. This time our group is led by Miyamoto Yukie. You don't need to understand anything else. As long as you understand that on the battlefield, as long as the instructions given by your superiors are completed, you must complete them no matter what. What we have to do now is wait. When the team is assembled and the material escort team arrives, we will officially set off. Nara Kazama and Uchiha Jin both nodded heavily. They all know very well about battlefield discipline. The most important thing on the battlefield is to obey the orders of your superiors. The ninja world is a weapon. But, it's a pity. Ishikawa Shu didn't think so. He immediately said firmly. Everyone, don't worry. As long as I, Ishikawa Shu, am one of the top 3 in the class, I will definitely protect you all. All you have to do is trust me. Uchiha Jin and Nara Kazama heard the words, but the corners of their mouths twitched violently. Their squad leader is still here, so you can't help but want to take the top position. Where did you put Kudo's letter? Originally, the two of them looked down upon Ishikawa Shu, but after his behavior, the two of them really didn't know what to say. I've seen stupid ones, but I've never seen anyone so stupid. Such people often die faster on the battlefield. It was precisely because of this that the two of them secretly made up their minds to stay away from this guy. Not to mention Kudo Shin. The look he looked at Ishikawa Shu was complicated. But, he didn't speak. Having experienced war, he knew very well that such people would die the fastest on the battlefield, and there was no need to be familiar with such people. At this moment, everyone's eyes suddenly became blurred. After everyone reacted, they saw an Uchiha tribesman with a waist boasting a sword and wearing a fan embroidered with flame balls, appeared in front of everyone. Exactly, Uchiha Shisui. Are you, Master Shisui? I've met Master Shisui. ... Everyone spoke one after another. Yes, although the current Uchiha Shisui has not achieved the title of Shunshin Shisui. But Shisui, who often appears on the battlefield, already has a certain reputation within Konoha. Different from ordinary ninjas and useless members of the clan, Shisui is a genius of the Uchiha clan. Shisui smiled and nodded. I have some personal matters with Jin. Captain, I'll go over there for a moment. Uchiha Jin frowned, but still spoke to Kudo Shin. Kudo Nobu nodded naturally when he heard this. Immediately afterwards, Uchiha Jin and Shisui walked directly not far away. Kudo Shin and Nara Kazama looked at the backs of Shisui and Jin, but their eyes were full of inexplicable meaning. Yes, although they knew that Jin was from Uchiha, they really didn't expect that he and Shisui, an Uchiha genius, had such a good personal relationship. It seems, their teammate is really not simple. And, on the other side, Uchiha Jin and Shisui arrived not far away, and Shisui solemnly handed him a fishnet underwear. I forgot it yesterday, I'll make it up for you today. The battlefield is extremely dangerous, and this is your first time on the battlefield. As an older brother, I naturally have to help you check for your mistakes. This is a lock pendant inner armor, which is mixed with a small amount of meteorite iron and 100 smelted iron. Hurry up, put it on and let me see. Uchiha Jin. Looking at the fishnet outfit in front of him, he couldn't help but frown slightly. As a grown man, he really doesn't want to wear this thing, and he is also confident that with his own abilities, no one can hurt him at all. But, no way. Looking at Shisui who looked worried in front of him, he felt really mixed emotions. He really didn't expect that after so many years in time, he could still feel such deep love and care. Shisui is so nice to him. This also made him even more entangled. After all, Uchiha's bad things really shouldn't be mentioned. But after thinking for a moment, he took a deep breath and put on the fishnet inner armor directly. Well, it looks good. This way I can feel a little more at ease, and I'll tell you something quietly by the way. The news just came from Anbu. The Mist Shinobi declared war on Konoha yesterday, but they didn't tell this force to you. The real role of your unit is to buy time for Konoha. Now Hokage-sama has given an order for us, the Uchiha clan, to mobilize our elite. Next, Fugaku-sama will be in charge of the Mist Shinobi battlefield. So, hang in there. As long as you persist for half a month, I will find a way to transfer you to my team. Hiss. When Uchiha Jin heard these words, his expression suddenly changed. Yes, even though he knew that these people were cannon fodder, he still couldn't help but gasp when he truly learned how dangerous the situation was. This is really cannon fodder. This shows that the possibility of this group of people surviving is really very small. Mist Shinobi has already declared war, and Konoha is still deploying manpower. Shisui has already explained the role of this group of people clearly. That is, delaying time. Only, he was still grateful for the Shisui in front of him. To know this kind of news, it is no surprise that it is top secret. Shisui actually told him quietly, which is enough to show his love for her. Taking a deep breath, he nodded solemnly. Even though he was very good at practicing Taoism, Shisui trusted him so much that he decided to repay the trust a little bit. Of course, just a little. It's just that I can't bear that someone who cares about me so much has to worry about me behind the scenes. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but speak in a low voice. Shisui, don't worry, I'll tell you quietly, but don't tell anyone, not even the Hokage or the clan leader. I'm not that useless. I killed Uchiha Yoshio and the others. Uchiha Jin left, but Shisui looked horrified and just stared at Jin's back. His mind went blank, and there was even cold sweat on his forehead. He was confused. The impact Jin's last words had on him was obviously quite huge. Although Shisui doesn't like Uchiha Yoshio and the others very much, he has to admit that the three of them can be regarded as one of the elites in the clan. At just 12 or 13 years old, Sharingan was already started. This is enough to explain everything. Maybe he can't compare with himself, but looking at the whole of Konoha, he is by no means comparable to the younger generation. But Uchiha Jin said that he killed these three people. Doesn't this prove that Jin is definitely qualified to enter Class A? He is definitely not what he appears to be, but in a wealthy family like Uchiha, he is definitely considered one of the geniuses. So why should he hide? He can't figure it out. He wanted to catch up with Uchiha several times and ask him what was going on. But on the battlefield, he couldn't do this. So he could only keep his inner anxiety completely buried in his heart. Next, comes thinking, should this matter be reported? If it were in the past, Shisui would never hesitate. But, that's Jin. After thinking about it countless times, he could only sigh helplessly. I decided to wait until I have time in the future to have a good chat with Jin before making a decision. Yes, Jin had quietly told himself such an important thing, and he understood very well how much trust it was. On the other hand, it also shows that Jin is definitely not a bad person. Not to mention Uchiha Yoshio and the others, Shisui also dislikes them. Never mind. After shaking his head helplessly, he looked towards the large army bitterly. Jinjin, it really posed a big problem for me. How on earth am I going to face you? And, on the other side. After Uchiha Jin returned to the team, he gained the envy of everyone. This is the lock pendant inner armor. Every ninja hopes to get such a pair of inner armor. It's just a pity. It is not easy to refine the inner armor of the lock pendant, and it is not within the reach of ordinary people. Even Nara Kazama looked envious when I didn't see him. As a member of the Nara clan, he is considered a wealthy family in Konoha. Of course, there are locks and inner armor, but disciples like him from the side branch will only receive fixed resources every month. If they want all kinds of good things in the clan, they can only exchange them for military achievements. Uchiha Jin, but it's different. This is Shisui, a personal gift. But, at the same time, they can feel more and more that Uchiha is not that simple, and it is definitely not a simple side branch of Uchiha. Especially, Nara Kazama. He may not be very strong, but as a member of the Nara clan, he has also inherited the most critical wisdom of the clan. He thinks more. It was precisely when he thought of this that his eyes began to twinkle. Jin, you are so powerful. What kind of relationship do you have with Shisui-kun to give you this level of inner armor? Everyone spoke one after another. Especially Kudo Nobu. His tone became more and more friendly when facing Uchiha Jin. As someone who has experienced the battlefield, he has long lost his previous impetuousness. He knows better than ordinary people the difference between wealthy people and common people. Even if you don't want to stand out in the future, if you just want to survive the war, you should stay as close to the wealthy family as possible. Because it is easier for people to get information than they are, a group of civilian ninjas. Even if it's not for ninjutsu, just telling you a little bit of news quietly is actually the difference between life and death. Uchiha Jin didn't say much about this. There is no way to hide something like inner armor. So, forget it. Let these people think whatever they want. This is not a big deal. Only, Nara Kazama and Kudoshin are okay, their eyes are normal. Only, Ishikawa Tree. Jealousy and resentment dominated the majority of his eyes when he looked at him. It seems, I have to be more careful about him in the future. Having lived in 2 lifetimes, he knew very well that although a small person like this could not accomplish anything, it was quite easy to do bad things. At this moment, a Chunin wearing a green vest came over. Squad 7, this is your mission. He looked calm. He just glanced at Uchiha's inner armor, handed over the mission scroll, and then turned around and left here. Kudoshin became serious. He looked at the mission scroll directly, and then spoke solemnly. The mission of our team is to escort supplies to the front line. Walk. Without any nonsense, he turned around and left. Yes, as a ninja who had experienced the battlefield, he knew exactly what to do when. Uchiha Jin and Nara Kazama only followed behind Kudonobu. Only, Ishikawa Tree. He looked unhappy. He basically resented everyone in this team. The reason is also very simple. He is among the top 3 in his class at school, which is what he is most proud of. But after actually joining the team, he found that what he was proud of seemed to be ignored by everyone. To put it bluntly, I just didn't see the admiration for him in everyone's eyes. It can even be said that, ignore it. How could he, who was so superior in school, endure this for a short period of time? Forget it about Kudonobu. But Nara Kazama and Uchiha Jin, what do they matter? Although they come from a wealthy family, their grades in the class are average and lower. Why can't they look down on him, an excellent student? Just because of their origins. After thinking of this, he couldn't help but look at the inner armor on Uchiha Jin's body. Maybe he won't be able to get it in this life. Why? Just because you are a civilian. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became, and his eyes naturally became fierce. Obviously, he never thought at all that their grades were average and inferior, just because they didn't want to compete. Just one of the top few in Class B has no attraction at all in Konoha. Just to fool the common people, who among the rich would take this honor seriously. Shortly after, the group of people came to the supplies department, and relying on the mission scroll in their hands, they directly took out 3 carriages of supplies, as well as a civilian escort team of 8 people. Yes, although there is scroll technology in this era, the cost cannot be reduced. Therefore, unless important and large-scale supplies are transported, they are still transported by civilians such as mules and horses. Ninja-sama, shall we leave now? Well, let's go. Facing this civilian team, Kudoshin looked extremely proud. Yes, even though he was a civilian before, the moment he became a ninja, he and the real civilians became 2 different classes. When facing the giants of Konoha, his identity seemed rubbish. But when facing this group of real civilians, his pride as a ninja was instantly revealed. The Land of Fire has beautiful scenery. Among the entire ninja world, the Land of Fire is rich in products and has 4 distinct seasons, making it a geomantic treasure. Think about Rain Shinobi Village where it rains heavily all year round, the sand hidden deep in the desert, Rock Shinobi where the entire country is made of rocks. Take a look at the entire ninja world. Every other place has its shortcomings, but the fire country here in Konoha really doesn't have any disadvantages at all. This is also the reason why every time a war starts, Konoha will be set on fire by all the ninja villages. This is a piece of fat. Everyone in the entire ninja world is greedy. Even if you are walking in the wild now, you will be surrounded by shady vegetation, flocks of birds and animals, the golden sun is shining, and the breeze is gently blowing on your face. Everyone has a lazy look. Among their ranks, civilians were working hard. As for the ninjas in their team, they were sitting casually on the supply truck, looking at the scenery around them leisurely. Yes, we are still in the country of fire, so it is impossible to encounter enemies under normal circumstances. People can't stay tense for a long time, so today's team naturally seems a bit lazy. Material transport team, on the last carriage. Uchiha Jin sat cross-legged, not paying much attention to the beautiful scenery around him. He frowned slightly. I can't stop thinking about that conversation with Shisui. It's hard for him to define whether it's right or not. On the one hand, After living in poverty for so many years, he was naturally very depressed, and he naturally wanted to find someone to talk to. But, more importantly, this is more of a test of Shisui. If he really exposed this matter, it would not have much impact on him. As a genius tribesman, even Fugaku is reluctant to deal with it, let alone for a few dead people. As for Sarutobi Hiruzen, it doesn't matter. To put it bluntly, this is also a clan matter for Uchiha. According to Konoha's rules, the plan of autonomy within the clan is adopted. The Hokage has the final say in Konoha's affairs. If a war breaks out, the Hokage has the right to mobilize various families. But at the same time, Hokage is not qualified to interfere in each clan's own affairs. So, as long as Fugaku doesn't deal with him, his safety won't be a problem. To hold on to death means to let the third generation series focus on him, but with his current strength, as long as Sarutobi Hiruzen doesn't want to break his face, it will be impossible to deal with him openly. The only thing to consider is the Pot Shadow Danzo. This guy's treatment of the Uchiha clan has reached a morbid level. If he learns of this, he will definitely take action against himself. But, it doesn't matter. As long as Danzo doesn't come forward in person and mobilize all the masters at the root, he can escape even if he can't fight. So, take a little risk and give Shisui a try. This deal is a good deal. After all, Shisui was too kind to him, which made him really unable to watch him die. If the temptation fails, then when the time comes to hold him to death, just save his life. But if the test is successful, it means that his importance in Shisui's heart is higher than he thought. In this case, he has the possibility to change Shisui. He, Sarutobi Hiruzen and others will definitely become enemies sooner or later. Although he will not be afraid if he is alone, he is still alone. It would be a good thing for him if he could get Shisui. After all, Shisui is considered a true genius among the Uchiha clan. As long as he doesn't die young, his future is unimaginable. You must know that his Mangekyo is known as the most powerful pupil technique, distinguished heavenly gods. Shisui, I gave you a chance, don't let me down. Leave all this to time. Time passes slowly. 3 days later, just when they came to the border of the Fire Country and were about to find a ship to go to the Fire Country, suddenly 2 Mist Shinobi teams rushed out. Mist Shinobi technique. The captains of the 2 teams began to quickly form seals the moment they took action. Immediately afterwards, as the 2 Mist Shinobi ninjas opened their mouths, waves of thick fog filled the transport team. Protect the convoy and be careful against enemies. Kudo Shin roared, and then began to quickly form seals with his hands. Tushirabi, boom, countless amounts of soil surged, and a high wall instantly rose up, directly protecting the convoy behind it. Kudo Shinya didn't stop after that, he was still making seals. It wasn't until he cast the technique 3 times and formed 3 walls that he stopped looking pale. Chakra, exhausted. This makes no sense. He is just an ordinary civilian Chunin, and he is good enough to be able to do this. This is also true. With the erection of 3 walls, the 2 teams of Mist Shinobi were blocked. Unless a truly strong person comes forward, ordinary ninjas really don't have a good way to defeat the enemy. 2 of the 2 Mist Shinobi teams sent out in front of them can use the Mist Shinobi technique, which already shows that they are the elite of Mist Shinobi. To know, even the ninjas of Konoha will only know the basic 3-body technique after graduation. Konoha is the strongest ninja village. From this, we can also imagine what the situation of Mist Shinobi, who is worse than Konoha, will be like. Ordinary ninjas basically use kunai to fight against their enemies. Their 3-body technique is not as good as Konoha's. Just when Kudo Shin took action, the convoy also began to circle the city, and their team also gathered together. My chakra is exhausted and I need 10 minutes to recover. In the meantime, it's up to you. But don't be afraid, the Mist Shinobi on the other side doesn't dare to attack easily. After saying these words, Kudo Shin swallowed a Bingliang pill and began to sit cross-legged on the ground to recover. Uchiha and Jin looked at each other and frowned slightly. Jin, what do you think? Nara Kazama asked. Uchiha Jin heard this, and after some astonishment he still said, the enemy is in darkness and we are in the light, so defend yourself. Nara Kazama nodded. He had no problem with Uchiha Jin's idea. Mist Shinobi hides in the dark. If he attacks easily, he can only be divided and killed. But, it's a pity. Although the two of them determined the method, Ishikawa Shu couldn't help it. He had long disliked the two of them and had been holding back his anger along the way. Now, the two of them chose the defense method he was most uncomfortable with, which made him unable to bear it immediately. You two are such cowards. Just two teams of mist shinobi ninjas, I really don't know what you are afraid of. Don't forget, I am the top 3 in the class. I came to the battlefield to kill the enemy and perform meritorious service, but I have no interest in playing house with you. Haha, don't worry, if you are in danger, as the top 3 in the class, I will definitely save one of you. And don't forget, we made an agreement before. If something goes wrong with the captain, I will be the acting captain. Now I declare that I will take the initiative. I want to kill these two mist shinobi teams beautifully and let them know how powerful I am as a Konoha shinobi player. Kill. After Ishikawa Shu finished speaking, he rushed out immediately. Uchiha Jin, Nara Kazama. Seeing Ishikawa Shu rushing out, the two of them were stunned immediately. Hold the grass. I knew Ishikawa Shu was a waste, but I didn't expect that this guy would be such a waste. Especially, Uchiha Jin. He has long known that this guy is not successful enough, but he is definitely more than capable of failing. But, after it really happened, he couldn't help but slap his forehead and curse. Waste. Is this Ishikawa tree mentally ill? Nara Kazama also smiled bitterly and shook his head. Meeting such an excellent teammate, he was also speechless. Only, as a Nara, he may not be strong enough, but his brain is not bad either. Taking a deep breath, he spoke immediately. Even if we want to kill him, we must save him. Uchiha Jin was stunned and couldn't help but said, why? Just us, we are a team. Nara Kazama glanced at Kudo Shin vaguely, and then explained in a low voice, what if Ishikawa Shu is not dead, and this matter needs to be reported to the village? Even if he dies, we still have the captain. Our team is just pieced together. Do we have trust in each other? As parties involved, we can believe that our interests are related, but are you absolutely sure that Kudo Shin will not tell the truth? Even if his chakra is exhausted now, he will not be able to hear outside sounds when he recovers. But once the matter is reported, it is also a credit. Our captain is a civilian. For this credit, are you sure he won't cheat us once? Uchiha Jin took a breath of air when he heard this. Immediately, when he looked at Nara Kazama again, his eyes began to look different. Good guy. I knew that the Nara clan had good brains, but I didn't expect them to be so powerful. What he had never considered in his 2 lifetimes, this guy thought about it in an instant, and he considered it so comprehensively. Nara Kazama is just a side branch. In the original work, there is no qualification to leave a name. What about Nara Shikaku, the leader of the Nara clan and Jonin squad leader? Thinking of this, my scalp is numb. Only, this was not the time to think about this matter, when a scream came from the thick fog outside. It was Ishikawa's voice. But, how long has it been? Uchiha Jin slapped his forehead and spoke with an unhappy face. This waste. Incompetent bungler. Okay, let's do it. Now that he has made up his mind, Uchiha Jin does not hesitate. He immediately rushed out and began to quickly form seals with his hands. Fire style, great fireball technique. His mouth opens slightly, and he spits out a great fireball, which then sweeps toward where the sound came from. Nara Kazama did not hesitate. Wind style, tornado hurricane. His hands quickly formed seals, and a huge tornado rose out of thin air. The wind borrows the power of the fire, and the fire assists the power of the wind. Under the influence of the hurricane, the great fireball immediately became more violent and directly blew away the mist shinobi technique. In particular, the 3 ninjas who attacked Ishikawa tree were torn apart by the 2 ninjutsus of wind and fire in an instant. Uchiha couldn't help but show surprise when he saw this. This is Wind Style's B-level ninjutsu. It seems that my teammate is not as simple as I thought. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, Mist Shinobi took action. One team of ninjas kept throwing kunai, while the other team ran to the supplies. I'll deal with these ninjas. Uchiha Jin said. Kazama, you go protect the supplies. Nara Kazama nodded. Without hesitation, he immediately turned around and headed towards the supplies department. Seeing this, Uchiha Jin also took out a kunai, knocked away the kunai that was stabbing him, and then reached the limit of speed and killed the group of mist shinobi. His speed is extremely fast. Even without the use of ninjutsu and Marine 6 styles, his taijutsu is far superior to that of an average ninja. With only some basic taijutsu, none of the mist shinobi ninjas in front of them could withstand his attacks. In the blink of an eye, one person was instantly killed. How could this happen? 3 Konoha shinobi who know ninjutsu. This is Konoha's elite team. The information is wrong, withdraw. The 2 leading mist shinobi ninjas immediately roared when they saw what was happening in front of them, and then did not stop at all. Directly, turn around and leave. As for the several mist shinobi who were killed, no one cared. And, on the other side, as soon as Nara Kazama killed one person, the other mist shinobi quickly fled. When he saw this scene, he immediately ran over and asked Uchiha Jin. Want to chase? Uchiha Jin couldn't help but rolled his eyes when he heard this. He didn't know how to complain about the teammate in front of him. He is certain now, Nara Kazama is by no means an ordinary ninja. With his wind style alone, he is qualified to enter the elite class A. Now after being exposed, he still looks like he is the leader. But, thinking about the rest of the Nara family, it seems that this is also Nara's tradition. So, forget it. Shaking his head slightly, Uchiha Jin spoke. This is not necessary. Our mission is to transport supplies. There's no need to add extraneous details. Nara Kazama nodded. He suddenly felt that being a teammate with Uchiha Jin would be a really good experience. Especially this way of thinking is really in tune with the Nara family. Wait, that's not right. Isn't this guy an Uchiha? But this way of doing things is not Uchiha at all, okay. But, it doesn't matter. What does it have to do with himself? As Nara, what he hates most is trouble. As long as it doesn't affect yourself. Thinking of this, he yawned, and then looked at the unconscious Ishikawa tree at his feet. Then, a little headache. This guy is really lucky, why is he not dead yet? Obviously, Nara Kazama didn't have a good impression of this reckless guy. But after he sighed, he had no choice but to speak. Yeah, pretty good. Ishikawa Shu is still alive, let's treat him. Uchiha Jin, frowning, but he still nodded. Although this guy is extremely annoying, he can't kill him, right? After reaching an agreement, the 2 people lifted Ishikawa Shu onto the carriage. After simply adding some herbs and giving him a soldier's grain pill, he no longer bothered to care about this guy's life or death. Yes, anyway, there is no medical ninjutsu in the team, and the 2 of them don't care about his life or death. Just try your best, don't bother to worry about it. As for what happens next, it depends on his fate. In the war front camp, there are medical ninjas from Konoha, who can survive until then. If you can't hold it for that long, then just die. The 2 stepped out of the carriage, and Nara's eyes rolled. Jin, what will you say later? Nara asked quietly. Uchiha Jin, his eyes narrowed slightly. His expression was incomprehensible, and he couldn't help but probe. Tell the truth, what else can I do? Nara Kazama looked helpless. He felt that the Uchiha Jin in front of him was just playing dumb with him. With the way he acted just now, how could he not have thought of this? But, no way. Since he proposed it himself, he had no choice but to speak. After our strength is exposed, the tasks we will take on in the future will be troublesome. I think we 2 are the same type of people, that is, we are afraid of trouble. So, can you be honest? Everyone has mentioned this, and Uchiha Jin can't play dumb. He also hates trouble. As for the village's credit, he naturally doesn't value it either. Rolling his eyes, he whispered, what did you think about it? Nara Kazama, not stupid. Of course he could see Uchiha Jin's temptation, but considering that Kudoshin would wake up at any time, he naturally didn't want to waste time. Without hesitation, he spoke immediately. The captain is still recovering chakra and cannot detect the outside world. Ishikawa Shu is also in a coma now, and all the civilians died just now. We each have 1 card of supplies for 3 cards. If Mr. Jin doesn't have a storage scroll, I'll give you 1. As for the dead mist shinobi ninja, we will temporarily seal it in the scroll and deal with it later when we find time. When the captain woke up later, he said that we were not strong enough and could only barely protect 1 truck of supplies. The other 2 trucks were snatched away by Mist Shinobi. Ishikawa Shu is blind and arrogant. He doesn't listen to our persuasion and insists on fighting Mist Shinobi. Nothing worked, so I was injured by Mist Shinobi. We worked hard to save him. Please like and subscribe.